Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Music Industry Forum. In case you're the one person who doesn't know me in this room, I'm Lo Faber. Thank you. Stop that. Forum begins. I know we all think of it as 5 o'clock, but it begins at 4:55. If you don't have a class just before this, we really appreciate you getting here a few minutes early. That really helps because if people get here early, move down front, then the line moves faster outside. Also with the dongles. I hate saying the word dongle for some reason. It's kind of a icky word. But anyway, if you don't have a working dongle, you can get one from the table out there today. Okay, stop it. You can get one today. However, if you wait, and I think you can get one next week, but if you wait till the week after that, they're going to be $5, okay? And it's going to start counting against you if you don't have a working you-know-what. And also, last thing is please, when you come in, come down front. There's always a whole bunch of seats not used up front. Being up front is good. And John has something to say, and then we're going to bring the people who have signed up for announcements down for announcements.
So who was here on Saturday? Was that good? Did y'all enjoy that? So that's going to go up. That video will be present online. I think today you can see it. That was a big day. Not only was it recruiting and audition day, but that experience, was really quite impressive. And then the concert that night was like stunning and unbelievable in every respect. Anybody at the concert that night? You missed something that was world class. And it's also been posted on the internet today too. So you might want to check it out. It was the most amazing concert that I've heard in that hall, and one of the most amazing ever for me. So anyway, I commend it to you. The other thing is no cell phones and no computers when we're here in this room. Pay attention to your guest. Generally speaking, the guest is someone from outside the community, and my advice to you is to email them after the forum or the next day or something and thank them for what they said, and maybe even pick out something specific that was meaningful to you. And then they can be in your network because they will appreciate that. Very few people do that, I know, and so it's a real advantage, especially if that person affected you somehow. Tell them, because you're going to need that connection at some point. And if you care about what they think, they're going to care about what you think. So I would recommend that. What else? So Jim is going to do this Mardi Gras forum for you now, and he's got some amazing footage. You know, Jim has been shooting musicians in this city for 35 years. And so he has things that you're not going to believe. So have you got anything else to say?
Just that we can bring the student announcements.
You want to do announcements today?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. We'll do the announcements right quick, and then we'll let Jim get started. Anybody have anything?
All right, by a quick show of hands, how many of y'all write songs in here? How many of you? Okay, wow. Yeah, that's a lot. All right, well, we have a group called Songwriters Anonymous, and we meet every Wednesday in CM 234 at a time that I think you all can remember, 420. And if you write music and you want to share and you want to play, we have performances. So come on out. Appreciate it.
Thank you. What's up, everybody? My name is David D'Angelo. I just wanted to let y'all know that over this past weekend, I actually released my first single ever. It's called Moon Influences Man. Yeah, thank you. The title of the track is intended to convey this sort of connection between the moon and human nature, humans and the earth itself. And there's definitely more to it than that, but I'm going to keep it brief. And if you want to know more, talk to me after. As far as the musicality, picture like 90s hip-hop head meets jazz saxophonist. They have a child. That child listens to a lot of Robert Glasper, and that child is this track. All right, well, it's up on SoundCloud. It'll be up on other platforms soon. For everyone that's already checked it out, much love. I really appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Hello, my name is Morgan Ballard, and I'm looking for a band to perform at a second line on March 2nd. This is part of the Bateman PRSSA campaign this year for Student Veterans of America, so this will receive media coverage along with other things. If you or anyone you know is interested in performing in a second line on March 2nd for Student Veterans of America, find me or email me at MNBALLAR at Loyno. So that's MNBallar at Loyno. Once again, I need people for a second line. Find me on campus or email me. Thanks.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? I'm Iotemi. I just wish love and blessings on all of y'all. This is my homie.
What's up? My name is Sam. I go by Samwise Ganja. We are starting a reggae group called Irie Conquerors, and we are looking for bassists, keys players, and a drummer. And if you are interested, talk to us afterwards.
Yeah, we're gonna be holding auditions real soon. I'm gonna probably make another announcement in another week or two. Also, Off Topic Entertainment is looking to create like a database of artists and musicians that like that'll just give you experience like performing live, performing in the studio, and you will be monetarily compensated. So holla at my man Randall for that. Thank you.
That's OTENT@gmail.com.
What's up, everybody? Hey, I'm Mike Hazel from Dola One, and we just wanted to let you guys know that last week, 2 weeks ago, we launched our rolling paper brand officially on the website. Thank you, and you can check that out on dolawan.com, so it's official, and just tell us how it is. And also a side note, we're sponsoring Best High Fest on February 26th. So come out and I'll let my.
Let me holler at you real quick, y'all. Matter of fact, he's wrong. It's on February 24th, not the 26th. Best High Fest, sponsored by Dola Wine and my media company, By the Real. We got a lot of dope artists coming out. Myself, Tay Miles, the homie Whitey S right here. The man himself right here, Mike Hazel, also performing. And a lot of talent. Y'all gonna see flyers and stuff soon. Y'all can't see my phone. I don't got no tablet or nothing like that. Don't rip my phone now, but that's a flyer or whatever, you feel me? But February 24th, Willow, Best High Fest. Pre-sale tickets $5, 10 at the door. Y'all fall through.
Also the Dola ones are $3. We are selling Dola ones after Forum, and I'm throwing one out in the crowd now. So
Dolo on the world, baby. They come with filters.
Hey, real quick, we love your announcements. We like you to make announcements. We're starting to have a sign-up sheet for announcements as you come in the door. And please, want to start the announcements about 5 o'clock at the latest. Real quick, before Jim comes up here, I realize there's one more thing I got to tell y'all, and that is that we have new leadership in the Forum Committee. Adam Shearman, who has done great service, has just graduated from Loyola, so he can't be the Forum Committee chair anymore. Instead, we have two new co-chairs. Yeah, let's hear it for Adam. I don't think he's here, but we have two new co-chairs who are going to run this thing for hopefully the next year or more. They're both sophomores, and let's hear it for Ethan Wallace and Hannah Craker. And without further ado, I give you our very own Jim Gabour.
I've been doing this for about 5 years now because so many people who have come to Loyola from outside really don't know what Carnival is all about. They think it really is boobs and bourbon, and it's not bad, but there's a lot more to it. We've talked about the Skull and Bones gangs. Last year we talked about all the women crews in Carnival, which are really becoming a whole new thing. And this year I thought, since so many of you are in the dancing mode come about this Friday, that we'd talk about very briefly, it'll make it cool for you when you go out and hear it, about the types of music that started at Carnival, that came out of New Orleans and really changed the way both we perceive ourselves and the way the world perceives us in the different kinds of music. One of the first things that's kind of weird is that I think this whole town was probably just founded on a practical joke. Yeah. When this guy Iberville came ashore the very first time near New Orleans in the late 17th century, it turns out he put his boat ashore on Mardi Gras Day, and he named the bayou where he was parked Mardi Gras Bayou. And out come the three Indian tribes, or representatives of most of the tribes who were here, the Choctaw, Chitimacha, and Homas. And there were these big studs up there, and you can see they were giving them gifts and saying, you guys are really great. You know, we want to come and build here. We're going to do stuff. And they didn't notice that behind those guys, there were these other figures. It turns out that all three of those tribes were matriarchal. The women were the chiefs. The women who were standing in back watching this guy with a wig give all their boys all this good stuff, they were the chiefs, not the guys. And when Iberville's brother, Bienville, came back 20 years later to found this city and asked those same Indians, you know, where would be a good spot for us to put our city? They showed him a spot which was dry at the moment, but which turned out to be the spot that went underwater every year and was in marsh and was always totally messed up. A woman scorned. Yes, I think it was all pretty much a practical joke. And as a matter of fact, as it went along, you can see they actually started acknowledging that there were the women there too when they started doing the logos for the city. And this thing, they had to actually, this is what the city looked like. When the city first got founded, it was just squares of houses and the like. When all of a sudden, very shortly afterwards, they discovered they had to put levees and walls all the way around the town because it flooded every year, and all because they had been nasty to the chiefs. Not something good. By the way, there were a lot of outside influences on Carnival. I know you've seen this many times. Any idea where the purple, green, and gold came from? It turns out that in 1872, the crown prince of the Romanovs came to New Orleans for the first time, and they dedicated Carnival to him, and this was the colors of his family in Russia, and somehow that became the Mardi Gras flag. So we've been influenced by a lot of outside things. I'd like to show you, I brought a lot of footage just so you could see these, some of the tribes in their element. Right this week, they're all buried underneath making new outfits. In the late 1860s, while they were waiting for the federal troops to come in, a lot of the slaves in the city ran out into the swamps to hide out, and there were these same nice Indians with the female chiefs who said, man, it's great to have you here, and hid them away for a couple of years. When they came back into the city, the only format they had for forming a community were the way the tribes were run. So every Mardi Gras, which was the only day that black people were allowed to put on masks at the time, every Mardi Gras, they would dress up like the Indians and run between their neighborhoods, usually with guns and knives, to try to expand the territory of their tribes. They really only disarmed the Indians around the 1960s. They were still carrying up to that point. Now they carry fake ones, and they run every Mardi Gras day. They do, but the big thing they do as competition is to try to outdress and outdance one another, even when they're pretty old. This is a pretty cool piece with Big Chief Monk Boudreaux and Sylvester Francis. Monk is really kind of the patriarch, one of the oldest chiefs now in town, and Sylvester managed to get one of the local funeral homes to give him one of their little out-branch places, and he made a museum to start hanging up some of these incredible outfits. I think they're pretty neat guys.
And the know you're free. Like for Hollywood, Yana. Stay uptown and you got low down with.
You notice one of our biggest national treasures, and he's living in this house.
Well, I mostly have my son, my grandchildren, you know, because I'm mostly about the kids, because they keep the tradition going, because they, you know, they into it, they down into it. Like when I was coming, my dad, you know, he was doing it, and I got involved in it, you know, when I was like 12, 13 years old. But, you know, like we bring the kids out now, soon they born, you know, when they get out, because my little granddaughter, she was only like, I think she was like 7 weeks old when they brought her out.
Now this is like one of the very basic patterns of Indian song. It was based on the kind of call and response things that field hands used to do out in the plantations. Everywhere else in the country, slaves were forbidden to sing or to play music because they thought it was going to be a way of talking to each other and inspire revolt. But here in this town, we let them have every Saturday night in Congo Square, where the slaves were able to play music and play drums. And that music, once the Emancipation Proclamation happened, that music became this particular version, which Monk is famous for, and which we'll get into New Orleans music a lot more, you'll see very shortly. But this is the more famous and classical traditional Indian music.
I see the shotgun, you.
This is my little girl. She's an African picture. She's a little queen. This black and white picture. It's our great-great-grandmother in 1949. She was queen for the 8 war hunters. All Victor Sioux represent something from Africa. This suit here is a totem pole. The blue suit is a rhino. The gold suit is a unicorn. The blue piece up there is a 1990. But that blue piece, in a sense, is the cause of me having this museum. That particular year I helped.
Now check that out. That's real. These guys, these are men, a lot of whom are very underemployed and the like, who spend the whole year doing this intricate beadwork, sewing and hot gluing to make these very complex and artistic outfits that then become part of the music. But I just wanted to alert you, I mean, this is all made by hand by one guy.
Sew on that blue suit, and I sew all night, just like the song goes. And Carnival Day, I missed Carnival because I was tired from being up all night. So I didn't catch no Carnival 1990. Okay, that's one part of the story. But what made this museum, about 2 months later after Carnival, I went to Victor House. It had rained that whole week. And I went by Victor House. That piece there was thrown away in the yard. And that's the first piece I picked up. And I kept saying, man, we got to do something about these suits. So that's how it started, that first piece up there. We named it the back street because where I was living at, it was way back of town on the back streets. So we kept saying in the little garage, nobody ain't gonna come back here and look at this. Nobody but the neighbors, because it was on the back street. Then the whole while I had the house and the little museum in the by my house, I was working for Rose Funeral Home. And Rose knew I'd do this. So when this place got open, empty, Rose had called me and asked me, do I want to rent it? Because it was closing. It was closing the funeral home down. I've been following Indians all my life. We got a neighborhood effort. Carnival Day, it's about 5 Indians with fire, yeah. Okay. Okay, trooper, it's three Indians, fire yacht, and 2 little kids, right? But we got 200 or 250 people follow us. So we got the biggest posse, what we call, okay? Because the whole neighborhood is, is be behind us.
So, the Indian traditions and the masking and these outfits, which is so amazing, somehow started inspiring the local musicians to get involved. It stayed a cappella until the 50s and 60s, and then all of a sudden it started getting noticed by a lot of the local musicians. One of the big guys was Professor Longhair, whose 2 of his tunes are still like among the big tunes of all Carnival. And I had the opportunity back a bit ago to talk to Alan Toussaint, who just passed last month, about the fest and about the way he used piano and about the way he used piano and beats to start replicating the sound of the Indians. And this is pretty exciting. The next generation after Toussaint and Fess were the Neville brothers, and you'll see a piece of theirs and a piece of Fess himself playing, and some of the Indians and their tribes who ran to this very same music. This is a piece from about 1988.
Since I was a very young kid. As a boy coming up, I played it exactly as Fess did, because there were little rules, even though it seemed wild and random. There are little rules that you don't go against when you're really doing it. I consider him having about 5 or 6 inventions, you might say. And as simple as it might appear now, it was monumental at that time. One being and so forth and so on. That was like Hey Little Girl, and later on it was and for a kid 8 years old, that is very exciting, I want you to know. When you graduate to sliding like that. And later on, he did things like and after all of that and many other things, he came through with knocked my socks off.
This is a song, some music that was left here by a very great man from right here in Louisiana, New Orleans, Louisiana, the late great Professor Longhair. But I must let you know that he didn't leave nothing easy to play, and we're gonna keep trying to play it as long as we can. We're gonna do it like this one time.
went by. My bad boy on the fire. And me on top of having fun. Yeah, she gonna dance till the morning sun.
It never just flooded the airways. They were always going after something a little more sane, you might say, a little more where everyone can know where 1, 2, 3, 4 is. And Fest, it would be all kinds of ways, because it was that crew coming down the street, you could hear that. In Fest's music, you can see the Mardi Gras Indians coming down the street.
So that's kind of how R&B started permeating the Indian culture, and more of the old Indian tunes were incorporated into modern R&B. Just so you know, I just put a couple on here so you know. Let me play you just a couple of quick excerpts from, I think, the 4 most famous of the R&B Mardi Gras tunes. This first one's from the Fest himself, with just some footage underneath, but you'll recognize it. And this one is Go to the Mardi Gras.
New Orleans, you ought to go see the Mardi Gras.
think you'll probably hear that one once or twice over the next couple of days. One of the other favorites, and this was the band that backed up Fest a lot of the time with two of the Nevilles, Art Neville and Cyril, Leo Nicantelli and Zigaboo Modalista, and George Porter. This is Mardi Gras Mambo. When they show everybody out of focus, because that's kind of how I feel during Carnival. Nobody can take a picture of me with a sharp focus from about Saturday through Wednesday morning. I'm just out of focus. This one is one of my favorites. This is Dr. John, All on a Mardi Gras Day.
Big parade, all on a Mardi Gras day. The big bass drum led the big parade, all on a Mardi Gras day. The big bass drum led the big parade, all on a Mardi Gras day. And all that you could hear the people say, with on ballet. The trombone was playing that old tailgate song. All on a Mardi Gras day. That trombone was playing that old tailgate. All on a Mardi Gras day. Trombone was playing.
I like that tune. Last one I'll pop up of this kind of R&B bunch is a guy from the Upper Ninth Ward, Al Johnson, and this is probably the most famous, but it's the only time I've ever seen him do this a cappella, and that's It's Carnival Time. You're going to hear that a couple of times too over the next week. I really think that we're one of the more unique places in the world, especially because we speak music here. But way back in '88, I did a 4-hour show for the BBC, and we traveled to Mardi Gras in Rio and Trinidad. And I found that in each of those places, they had a unique music they had developed just for Carnival too. And I'm just going to show you a minute or so. This is the samba schools in Rio. They have between 3,000 and 4,000 people, and they rehearse one song all year long. because they march down the middle of the Samba Drone, this 1.5 mile long, really narrow stadium, and they have 82 minutes to perform the song and to have all their dancers on the floats and all, and then they get judged. The 30 best get judged, and it's such a huge thing to be the best samba crew. So this is just a brief look at how the samba crews rehearse.
Night, since November, the members of Mocidade Independente in the industrial north of Rio have been getting together to practice their new song, which is also released on a record for the general public, so that when Carnival Day arrives, everyone in Rio knows it by heart. The band, the bateria, is a crucial part of the whole event because it's the driving force of the parade. And it's one of the categories on which each samba school is judged in the competition. This is just a small section of the bateria of Mocidade Independente.
Mais importante para mim seria, na verdade, um item que não é nem especificado, que é um item que é o próprio carnaval em si. Quer dizer, uma escola pode estar ruim em alegoria, pode estar ruim em fantasia, mas é aquela magia que acontece na avenida que a escola ganha porque fez a festa. Não independe se esse item está bem ou se esse item está ruim, se está mais. Esse é o mais difícil e o mais importante. É você conseguir explodir a avenida.
Vai, vai, Brasil! Beijinho, 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 encanta a mocidade assim. Vai, vai, Brasil! Beijinho, 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 encanta a mocidade assim. E a canta, encanta a mocidade. Beleza, bateria! A constituinte e aí? Dividindo a nação da cagada, em sede brasileira ser cantada. Outra aí no Congresso, o Congresso desmontou. E o Cruzeiro se valorizou. E hoje nem saudade de quê? Daquele Brasil que ficou, que ficou. E hoje nem saudade de violência, marajás, corrupção. Adeus, adeus, e em nós, e eu falei que na era, vai a nuclear. O que tem? Usina, Rio Mar, Itapuã, Iracema, Igualinha, Itamaraca, e bate-bate.
By the way, this was the conservative BBC on a 3-second delay, and they had this little trick that whenever anybody totally naked was going to show up on screen, they'd put a little orange triangle up in the right upper hand corner so that parents would have the opportunity to put their hands over their children's eyes. You miss all the good stuff, but yeah. In Trinidad, though, those were they invented the samba schools and this particular kind of song to make their whole thing forward. Where in Trinidad, and this is really brief because I didn't have a chance to show the whole thing, they actually invented an instrument from their very first Mardi Gras that's now taken over their music, and those are the steel pans.
The bands in this area come from a more downtrodden setting that you find that they have more to go for. They have a deeper hunger. The steel band is like a ship, you know? And instead of water, we have people. The people is the sea that the ship floats on. Well, a panyard is where the pan players gather to really make the music. It's like the center of the community. People come together not just to play music, but to meet and to understand each other more. Well, it's rehearsal time for Carnival, you know, where they try the bands pick out the songs that are most suitable musically for them.
So they invented the steel pan, and that became, at their same giant Mardi Gras ball where they announce winners and the like, the only thing you hear, the steel pans. Back here in New Orleans, the other big musical form, R&B was a little later, but the big musical form that started out was, of course, kind of jazz. And one of the New Orleans stalwarts in the early part of the jazz thing was Louis Armstrong, who became king of Zulu in 1949. And if you think that outfit, here's let me see. Here's Louis actually in his outfit on the float. That's what Zulu does. By the way, right about then, for some inexplicable reason, this odd little song became the theme of Mardi Gras. It's "If I Ever Cease to Love," and I have this is just some pictures over it. It was a performance in 1946. I'm not quite sure why this became the theme of Mardi Gras, but it still is, and it's been turned into a real syrupy ballad that you hear at the meeting of the courts. But this is an original recording from 46. Very fun ragtime tune. You'd never know it was the same tune. If you heard it played at the meeting of Rex and Comus, it sounds like this syrupy ballad, not what you want to see. But Louis was really one of the most important people in the early days in getting jazz into Mardi Gras. And here's a little bit of Danny Barker, who passed a few years ago, explaining about Louis and about the musicians who were happening at this time, and again, how it got moved into Carnival.
When I came up, we didn't idolize baseball players or football players or basketball players. We idolized and followed around great jazz musicians because you saw them. One of the most renowned was the great legendary Buddy Bolden. When he blew his horn, they came from all directions. And he played music which is called get down music, blues, shake 'em up music. He stood up with his big brass cornet and blowed it, seeing it meant that slithering and sliding and holding and feeling and squeezing.
By the way, Danny had a hit song in 1936 called "Don't You Feel My Leg."
And whispering and all that went on when you heard Buddy Bolden's music, and the people spoke of it. Now, Buddy Bolden only played in rascalious places. That's a new word, rascalious. Anything Lila happened. And he was a legend. There was King Oliver, there was Freddie Keppert, there was Bum Johnson, Arnold Matoya, Buddy Petit. I'm coming down the line. Buddy Petit, Chris Kelly, Kid Renee, Lee Collins. There's a slew of musicians. And they played and they had the New Orleans repertoire. Well, Louis heard that. The kids heard that before Louis. And Louis had rivals when he first came out. But to get rid of the rivals, he started playing Altissimo, way above the staff.
orchestra. Is this late for you? Did you come to Louis late, or was he always an influence in your work?
No, I really started listening to him when I was 19 or 18. And I always associated him with some Uncle Tom or something, so I didn't want to really deal with him too much. But when I learned one of his solos on Jubilee, and then this is something different. Louis Armstrong, he's the greatest figure in American jazz. He just brought so much joy and happiness and love to people around the world. And as a musician, technically, he's on the highest possible level because there's no barrier between a horn and his soul.
And so, Louis kind of set it up, but let me, the thing really kind of came to its head even more so recently. And one of the people who really made that happen was Donald Harrison, who is a local musician who really started making the Indian tribes, I think, really come alive because his father had been a jazz musician and but also an Indian chief and made it really explode. I showed this a bit ago, but I'll pop this up just for a second. This is some of the musicians, the jazz musicians with the Storyville Brass Band, and they're the guys who march with St. Anne. And they kind of tell what they do and what the people do around them.
All year long. It's kind of like the Mardi Gras Indians, I think. You know, it's in its way, it can be compared to that. These guys make their costumes, they sew and they glue and they do everything for many weeks ahead of time, and it builds up to this big crescendo on Mardi Gras Day where we meet at Bud Ribs in the Bywater. And like Wesley said, when the momentum gets started, the band takes off, and we go down the street. Next thing you know, all of these people are just sort of filtering behind the band and in the band and around the band, and these big streamers are streaming everywhere, and the colors are just really bright. And if we have some good weather like we had the last few years, we'll see some really great costumes and maybe some very nice costumes. Yeah, we won't even see costumes actually. You know,
the band plays together ensemble, and they play hard and they play together. Like it's pretty much the only way you can keep it together.
Pretty much. Yeah. We start out with maybe 9 musicians. And probably when we finish, there's 13, 15 musicians.
And then there's the percussion players. People banging on stuff, you know, banging on bottles and tambourine.
Here we are coming down Royal Street with this brass band playing the Triumphal March, the theme from Aida, while, you know, they'll be at the Rex Ball that night playing the very serious Triumphal March from the theme for Aida. But we swing it like this.
This is the only town in the world outside of Germany where a sousaphone player can make a living. I mean, this guy, a sousaphone player can work as much as he wants. You know, a slide trombone player. It's got a beeper, for God's sake.
Tomorrow you gotta go back to being yourself.
This didn't hurt.
This translates into stuff that just happened spontaneously on the street. And I just discovered these guys last year. And again, I know I played this once before. But this happens on Mardi Gras around noon for free on Frenchman Street. And it's a band that has about 50 members in it, two sections of 25 members each, each of the groups dressed differently. And as soon as one half of the group hits a final note of one song, the other part keeps it up. And they'll play 4 hours and not stop out on the street. And this is just, of course, the audio is just off a phone. And a little story. Get ready to turn it down, guys, because it's a little loud. But this is just walking on the street, and all of a sudden, 50 people show up just kicking ass. There are half a dozen of these bands in my neighborhood. They don't get paid. They just come out and do it during carnival season to get everything rocked up. And that's I'll show one last little 3-minute piece, only because we haven't talked about how some of this merges into more modern music. And this is Zachary Richard, just 3 minutes. He wrote this song at Carnival a couple of years ago called Who Stole My Monkey? And I'm not sure what that's all about. But he played it one day for us and talked about it before he got up to do it. And here's 3 kind of fun minutes that you might enjoy right before we stop.
There was a big movement in this country to go back to the roots, at least in South Louisiana, and we brought the old instruments back, but in a new way, because we had been brought up on rock and roll. We were rock and roll players. In Cajun music, in Cajun cooking, I should say, they have the Holy Trinity, which is onions, celery, and bell pepper. Well, my Holy Trinity is Zydeco, Cajun, and New Orleans style rhythm and blues, but the pot that I cook it on, or the fire that's burning below, is rock and roll.
I woke up this morning, then I looked all around. Cause I was looking for my monkey, Lord, Lord. My monkey couldn't be found. Hey, Lord, I called the police department. Who that FPP, alright. Said if you find my monkey, Lord, 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 send it home to me. I gotta know, say now who stole my monkey, my monkey, my monkey. Somebody stole my monkey from me. Who stole my monkey, my monkey, my monkey? Somebody stole it from you. So then I moved down to Louisiana, way back there up in the woods. That's right. 'Cause I got a brand new monkey, Lord, Lord, Lord. That was done real good. When I was standing on the corner, playing a monkey grind song. Hey, Lord, then when the next thing that I knew, my monkey played me for the fool. She took my money and was long, long gone. Hey, now who stole my monkey, my monkey, my monkey? Somebody stole my monkey, stole my monkey from me. Who stole my monkey, my monkey, my monkey? Somebody stole it from me. Oh, oh, oh. My monkey got a cute bone head. She got a good attitude and long skinny lips. When we get back to the motel room, the way she can tell and make my heart go, oh, oh, oh. Then I stole my monkey, my monkey, my monkey. Somebody stole it from me. Oh, let me hear you talk about it. Let me hear you say now who stole my monkey, my monkey, my monkey? Somebody stole my monkey, stole my monkey from me. Who stole my monkey, my monkey, my monkey? Somebody stole it from you. Oh, hey, oh, hey, now who stole my monkey, my monkey, my monkey? Somebody stole my monkey, stole my. Hey, hey, now who stole my monkey, my monkey, my monkey? Somebody stole it from you. Oh, monkey from. Somebody stole my fucking monkey now.
And on that note, I want to say I'll see you all on the dance floor. I think we got one little thing.
Hello, can you all hear me? Do not leave. Do not leave. John Snyder made an announcement earlier, and it's pretty obvious that a lot of you either didn't listen or didn't understand. So I'm going to repeat it for your benefit. So please listen. A bunch of things. We're trying to get the forum a little bit more respectful. And that's something we don't see and hear a lot. So we're trying to respect what's going on, a great presentation like today. Number one, all the people out in the back that are sitting in the back, there's plenty of seats up front. So don't block the hallways and sit in the back. Come up front, okay? Everybody has a seat. There's plenty of rooms. Number two, no food or drinks in the auditorium. It's brand new. They've just redone it. We're trying to save it. That would also mean I would appreciate you not putting your feet on the sofa because we're already damaging the cushions, and it's specifically the forum that's doing that, okay? Next, I know this sounds strong, all right? No computers. No phones. Put your electronics away. And don't do your homework in here, okay? This is specifically a business meeting for you. No computers, no phones, no eating, no drinking. I know, gee, it's just like a regular class, isn't it? Okay, so here's the thing. This is industry-wide. We've all agreed on this, the music industry faculty. Do not leave yet, sir, please. If you don't do these, today's we were warning, next time you'll be thrown out and lose your credit for this class. Okay? So everybody needs to help us with this. It takes a joint effort from all of you together. Did anybody not understand me? Did everybody hear? Okay, whether it's heavy-handed or not, it's mature. It's the way you would be expected to act out in a professional situation. It's time to start that now. Thank you very much.